So this past Sunday was my 28th birthday, and that's all well and good, getting closer to 30, which doesn't weigh on me right now. But my birthday, because it's happened so early in the year, I usually don't do like a New Year's resolution at that time. Like I don't worry about dieting or getting into shape or anything like that. I just use it as an extension of the holidays because who can stay like tight on something for like 20 days and then my birthday comes up on the 25th and then you're going to fall apart again. So what's the point? I think I just use it as like, we'll just see, have a little fun. But this year, my birthday on a Sunday, I don't know how much of the country got hit, but we got the, the biggest snow we've had all year this season. Got hit with big snow. I don't know how much it accumulated to total. Like, I don't know if I was to guess, like anywhere from a foot to like 3, 4 feet, depending on where you stand, if you've shoveled or not. There were definitely some stuff that was like up to my knees. So I spent most of the day doing absolutely just nothing, sitting there and watching TV until like, 4 ish rolled around. And that's kind of when my whole family kind of decided like, oh, maybe it's time to, get out there. Now that it's about a foot deep on us, let's get out there in the middle of it and shovel it clear before the sun goes down. Because most likely we're gonna have to take Monday off, which is like, you know what, fine, whatever. Makes total sense to me. So we all bundle up and we get out there. And there was a lot of it. Thank God it was light. And then, we're doing all that, shoveling it, getting it away from the cars, hitting it with the snow blower. Do you guys call it a snow blower or a snow thrower? I thought it was a snow thrower because it throws the snow. Apparently, it's a snow blower because it blows the snow. I don't know where it's getting the air induction to blow snow, but it is. And while we're out there, we're like maybe like halfway done, and my brother he stops. He's like, "Oh, are you feeling 28 yet?" And I was like, "It's this feels the same as every other day at this point, working, like, which it is what it is." But today is the 26th. Today we're recording it on the 26th, Monday night. There's still snow falling. So it's 7:40 now, most likely going to be back outside within about an hour or so, shoveling more snow. And I'm not looking forward to it, because now I've been to the gym, I've cleared the driveway twice. We did it last night, and that was fluffy, but a lot. And this morning, it was not as much, but it was heavy as fuck. And then I went to the gym because I thought we were out of it, and then it started to snow way heavier than I thought it would, so we'll be back out there for a 3rd time in 2 days. And in terms of New Year's resolutions, that is how my New Year's resolutions are going. Shoveling the driveway 3 times in less than 24 hours. It's been great. But enough about that, let's talk some football. Welcome to Pat on the Back, the show where we talk football and a little bit of everything else. I'm your host, Pat O'Connor, and we're going to start with the Patriots 10, Broncos 7. Honestly, I'm just not that impressed. I don't really have any groundbreaking takes that you're not going to find anywhere else, like most of the world. I hate the Patriots and don't buy them as a team that deserves to be here at all. I think they got every lucky break possible on their way to the Super Bowl. Um, and it's reacting to the game is like whatever. It was a snowy game, so you're gonna expect a low score. Would I have expected a little bit of a better game from Drake May than 86 passing yards on 46% 100% completion? Yeah, probably. Not even probably, definitely, yes. Would I have I didn't expect him to rush for 65 yards or whatever it was, like averaging like 9 something yards a carry, but all in all, we're looking at like what is that, like less than 150 total yards, 160 total yards. I don't know exactly. Like it's just not that impressive for if we're going to talk about someone who's trying to go to a Super Bowl and try to win an MVP. Like he's in both of those conversations. I mean, he's the second quarterback in the last 30 years to win a championship game with less than 100 passing yards. Jimmy Garoppolo was the other one. He threw like 77 yards, I think. I'm not even sure what year that was, but that's like, so it definitely subverts your expectations for what you want to see. Now, I will layer in, I got asked by a friend of mine who's a diehard Patriots fan. He goes, well, if we really had it that easy, because they did, if we really had it that easy, then why doesn't everyone else who has the easiest schedule make it to the Super Bowl? If it's that easy, why doesn't everyone else do it? And I you have to give some credit towards the Patriots. They hired the right coach. I think Tennessee was fools for letting go of Mike Vrabel. So they've got the right coach in. They had one of, if not the best offseason in terms of personnel management, whether that's bringing in people through free agency or the draft or trade, whatever the fuck, like who they let go, who they brought in. All that stuff worked for them really well. They have one of the best offensive coordinators in football, definitely a top 5 guy, if we're talking guys who are just straight up offensive coordinators, not like head coaches that call plays. We're talking straight up offensive coordinators. He's definitely up there in a top 5, top 3, top 2 conversation. And so they have all that stuff that worked for them. They got a franchise quarterback, which a lot of people in the Patriots fandom were like last year they weren't 100% on, but it's like that's bullshit. Okay, by the end of the season, he was clearly a franchise quarterback, so don't give me that. But they did have 4 wins last year, so that's what got them to schedule. So yes, you got to give them credit for the way they managed the offseason and the way they responded. But they clearly right now have a better roster than their schedule would like dictate them to like. I don't know how to explain it the right way. Like, yes, of like their roster is good to the point, like underrated at a certain extent, but good to the point where, of course, they won this many games during the regular season. We'll just stick with that for now. During the regular season, of course, they had a good enough roster to win all those games. Of course, they also had the easiest schedule in the league. If they had this roster with this coach at like this level of play last year, I don't think they win as many games. Like it makes sense. Like the cards fell their way during the regular season. They had the easiest schedule during the regular season. Okay. And then you move in to the playoffs and they got every good matchup that they could have gotten is what they got. They played the Chargers in the wild card. The Chargers have now, since then, replaced their offensive coordinator with Mike McDaniels. And at the time of the game, it had the most injured and probably because of that, the worst offensive line in the NFL, including teams that weren't even in the playoffs anymore. Like the Chargers offensive line was awful for a large portion of the season. So like, yeah, of course they won that game. It was a complete mismatch in the trenches. Like obviously. Justin Herbert's not going to beat you if he can't stand up and then you give him a concussion and he can't see. Obviously. Like the Chargers had no shot in that game. And then they move on to the divisional round and they're playing the Texans. who have a Super Bowl caliber defense, but CJ Stroud sucks so much. Like, a lot of people are like, well, CJ Stroud belongs in the top 10. And the whole time, I've been like, maybe I'm wrong. He had one good year. Maybe I'm wrong. Give him his credit. And I've put him in the mix of the top 10, often just outside, but always in the mix. But I was never sold on him. And I told that to a lot of people where I was like, I'm not a big CJ Stroud guy. I don't know why. Something about him I just don't like. I don't know if it's just him as a person. I have no idea. I don't know anything about him. I was just like, there's something about this guy I'm not a big fan of. And now he's had one excellent season when he was a rookie and two bad seasons, the second of which culminated with him throwing 4 interceptions in a single game. So it's just like what happened to the Bills where you're like, you can't win a football game or you shouldn't win a football game when you turn the ball over that many times. And the difference in the Bills and the Texans is that the Bills have Josh Allen, who's significantly better than CJ Stroud is. And I don't think it's even close anymore. Where Josh Allen, clearly for a large portion of it until some things don't go his way. Yeah, he had the four turnovers himself, 5 total on the game. He's obviously good enough to have overcome that because the game went to overtime and they still scored 30 points. So it's like they overcame the turnovers, whereas CJ Stroud is not good enough to overcome those turnovers. So, yeah, the Patriots did get a lucky break there where they played against a quarterback who, if he doesn't have his number one wide receiver, is just not good at football. He completely falls apart. Without Nico Collins, the Texans are awful on offense. They're absolutely awful. Great defense, awful on offense. So it's, yeah, of course, if you break it up into 4 categories, we'll say offense, defense, one of each team. And, one team has the better offense and comparatively, and then their defense is obviously better than the opposing team's offense. Like, yeah, it's going to be a little lopsided. You should win that game if you're the Patriots. And then you have to go play the Broncos in Mile High Stadium, and you have to play their backup quarterback, not even their starter. You don't have to play a full strength team. And Jarrett Stidham was okay, for a snow game, like he's slinging it around. He had more pass yards than Drake May did, so I'll give him credit for that. But you're also not going to have that much success when you have I think your lead rusher had 13 carries for 38 yards or whatever it was. Like, obviously, it's just not going to be successful if you can't move the ball on the ground. And they had 12 different guys with a rush attempt. Like, it's absolutely crazy. So, yeah, I don't buy at all. I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl and get stomped. We're going to save the preview for next week. But it's, yeah. So, excuse me if I think this is a fucking sham because they're the luckiest team in the NFL where they got every break in the offseason where they got every player that they needed to get or they wanted to get or, however that worked out. And then they had the most fortunate path to getting to a Super Bowl in terms of, I think they played 3 teams that were over 500. Yeah, you should have a good record under those circumstances. Fucking why wouldn't you? So, what do you want me to say? You want me to say I'm impressed by Drake May? Because I wasn't. Not even remotely. Okay, he ran for 65 yards and got the team's only touchdown. That's nice. I think more credit goes to the defense shutting down Sean Payton than it does to Drake May being oh so grand because he, just flatly, he just wasn't. 46%. And you're going to tell me he deserved to win that game. Deserved? I don't know. Maybe he did deserve to win that game. But maybe it's more like just the Broncos didn't deserve to win that game. I don't know if there's a disconnect there, but that makes sense to me, because I'm not a big fat fucking idiot, but I also hate the Patriots, so it kind of makes sense that I would kind of feel that way about it. But yeah, in terms of Do I think the Patriots are a bit of a joke right now? Yes. If I'm going to predict what they look like next year, do I think they're gonna have the not that it's really fair to put this on the Commanders because of the injury problems that they had with Jaden Daniels. Do I think they're gonna fall apart to that extent where it is a steep drop off in terms of your win count? No, because I mean, a second year, they're obviously gonna be much more polished up. You know, Mike Vrabel's gonna have another chance to get in the guys that he wants or needs. He's gonna have another guy chance to install systems. We've already discussed how, uh, Josh McDaniel isn't going anywhere because everyone knows he sucks as a head coach, so he's obviously gonna keep his job as the coordinator. So you don't have to integrate a new offense into the stadium. So yeah, they're an extremely lucky franchise in the way that it shakes out. Are they gonna have what do they have, 14, 13 wins this year? Are they gonna have that next year? No, I could see them getting closer to 10, and I don't know who they're playing next year, but I could definitely see it being closer to 10, and it's like, yeah, of course. Let's see how you do now that you have a first place schedule. You know what I mean? Because I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I'd love to see this fall apart next year, and then everyone will be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter," and Patriots fans are gonna be right to deny, like, "Well, you gotta play who's in front of you." It's like, yeah, but, take a shred of context into this, and all of a sudden, not that impressive anymore, is it? I don't think so, and maybe I'm a little biased, but I would love to see a non-Patriots fan sit down and go like, "No, that it makes sense that they made it this far." Yeah, it makes sense, but I'm not gonna say that they're that good. I want a non-Patriots fan to sit down and explain to me how this team, based on everything that's gone on, deserves to be in their 12th Super Bowl appearance in franchise history. I wanna say it's franchise history, 12th in franchise history. No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. It seems like bullshit to me. I don't fuck you. No. Let's move on to Rams 27, Seahawks 31. Honest to God, thought the Rams were gonna pull this one out. E Before the game kicked off, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, week 8 in the regular season, I was like, "The Rams, I think, might be a Super Bowl pick." That was after I bet the Colts, and they completely fell apart after that, and Jonathan Taylor didn't have many good games. That's on me. I own that for betting that, and you may have noticed I haven't gambled publicly in s I don't know if it's several weeks, but at least a week or more because I've just been I need the football season to end, and then I can start trying to rebuild in terms of gambling because it whatever it is, it ain't working. So gotta cut the losses, let the bad luck ride, and get into something fresh after the Super Bowl is over. That's when we'll hop in. Also, I've determined that that's when I am allowed to watch Sinners because the football season will officially be over, and I have committed to not watching the movie Sinners during the football season out of respect to Josh Allen. Anyway, Rams 27, Seahawks 31. All of a sudden, it seems that the Jets were not wrong for picking Sam Darnold at number 3. It was a stacked draft. They had Josh Allen. They had Lamar Jackson. Obviously, they couldn't get Baker Mayfield because he was off the board. He went number 1. But they had several other, fairly high profile quarterbacks that they could have chosen that obviously have had more success up to this point than Sam Darnold had. So the Jets were correct for drafting him at number 3. Unfortunately, he got drafted to the Jets, who are just not good at stuff. And so, yeah, clearly that didn't work out because why would it? But then it seems like everywhere else he's gone, even in a backup capacity. I don't know what he did in Carolina. I just don't remember. But everywhere else he's been, it's been at least some degree of success that is higher than what we saw from the New York Jets era of Sam Darnold, which has led to him becoming the first quarterback from a class that included Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. He's the first quarterback to make it to a Super Bowl out of all those guys, which is impressive. That is he Sam Darnold has completely flipped the script and made fools at now the Jets can say, "No, see, we were right. Everyone thought we were morons because it didn't work, but we were correct." So, hats off to the Jets. They own this one. Hats off to the Jets. Now your former quarterback who's good now that he doesn't play for you and your division rival and the Patriots are in the Super Bowl. That sucks if you're the Jets on both ends. But I do think you have to root for Seattle if you're a Jets fan. I mean, the rest of the world will be. I will be. You have to root for Seattle because if you don't, like you're gonna root for the Patriots to win their fucking 10th Super Bowl or whatever it is. Like, you can't do that. You can't be those guys who are like, we want to keep it in the division. Like, everyone who says, oh, we're like, my division won, so that's good, is a loser. If the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, I want the other team to win. I don't want my division to bring it home if it's not going to be my division. And that's how Jets fans should feel. They should be rooting for Sam Darnold because while it would tell us something that we already know, which is that the Jets organization sucks at drafting, developing, and keeping good players, it would at least give the satisfaction of being like, hey, you guys were right. Yeah, maybe he was the best option at number 3 in that draft. He's the only one that's made it to a Super Bowl. Yeah, 2 of the guys have had more success and are still on the teams that drafted him, but he's the only one that's made it to a Super Bowl. Yeah, Baker Mayfield took fans who weren't even fans of football, made them fans of football while he was in college, and then made them fans of the Cleveland Browns when he got drafted there. Do you know how fun and exciting and good you have to be to make someone a fan of the Cleveland Browns? You gotta be pretty good. And Sam Darnold, now, I would say, has had the most success out of everyone in his draft class in terms of quarterbacks because he's the only one to lead a team to a Super Bowl. Josh can't say that. Lamar can't say that. Baker can't say that. I believe Josh Rosen was also in that draft class, and he can't say that. Then again, I'm pretty sure he's like a car salesman or something in like Idaho. He doesn't own the dealership. I think he just works at one. I don't know if that's what he does for a living, but that does seem right on the surface. And yeah, what else is there to say? I mean, Stafford had a good game, just not good enough. And McVay, I did like this. I saw this headline. McVay was asked a question about Matthew Stafford's future. And this is the quote that Sean McVay gave us. He said, if he still wants to play, I mean, what the hell kind of a question is that? Because he threw for 4,700 yards and 46 touchdowns, both of which led the league this season. And I think he is now the MVP. I know it's only supposed to be regular season. You're not supposed to count the playoffs. I think that's what people try to do. I don't know when the votes go in. I don't know when that starts. You know what I mean? But there's always going to be recency bias. If it comes after, the wild card weekend, you're going to have some type of it's going to affect your judgment. Like, I just don't that's human nature. Is recent information is what's going to matter the most. That's just how it works. But Stafford was clearly the MVP. Sean McVay was like, I don't, if he wants to play, he's got a spot to play. And that does put a little bit of a hole in our Joe Burrow trade theory where we speculated that the ultimate best fit for him would be to go to the Rams. I still think that that's true. I just now also think that it's significantly less possible unless Stafford does decide that he's like, "You know what? It was a good run. I'm 38 years old now, kinda tired of taking the hits. I've won a Super Bowl. If he wins the MVP, he'll be a MVP winner as well, and it'll be like, 'Hey, I'm done. I'm going out on top,' or at least as on top as he can get." I don't know if there's ever been a season, because 'cause I'm just thinking of it now. I don't know if there's been a season where a player won the MVP and retired that year. I would be surprised if that was the case, but, I mean, there's a first time for everyone, you gotta make history somehow. Dave Batista, when he was still wrestling in spandex, was the world heavyweight champion, and he retired while he was the champion. He cried about it and gave a speech and everything. Powerful stuff. I don't remember watching it, but I've seen clips of it since. I think I was too young when that happened. I think Eddie Guerrero was still alive when that happened, so I was definitely too young to remember it. Maybe watch it live, but not remember it. So, if McVay is telling us that Stafford's got a spot if he wants it, I believe him, but I don't know if Stafford wants to play again. I'll be scouring the internet, looking up the deep web stuff. I'll pull out whatever moves I'll pull a classic Jerry O'Connell move, and I'll start listening to Stafford's wife's podcast to figure out if there's any blips on there. Of any inkling of what they've got going on. If they start talking, if she's talking about moving to a different state, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, something's up. Maybe we stay away from Stafford. Maybe they make a move. I don't know." Do I think he's going to retire after the year he had? No. I think it would be crazy, especially because I do think he's going to win the MVP at this point. I just think his overall stat line is very difficult to argue with. Um, I mean, yeah, he's got weapons, but it's like, I don't know that we've ever dinged a guy for having weapons when he leads the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns, and he didn't throw that many picks from what I remember, but I don't have that in front of me. But you gotta believe in the guy. It is what it is, right? Like, I don't know. I'm starting to ramble, so I'm gonna cut it off on this topic, but I hope to see Stafford again. I believe it'll be in a Rams uniform. If it's not, I will be very shocked, very surprised. If it's not in a Rams uniform, I would love to see Joe Burrow in a Rams uniform. That's still my top pick for him. I think he would be great out there. Unless Sean McVay, maybe he decides he's done with the Rams and he quits after this season, and maybe he comes and coaches in Buffalo. I don't know. That could be fun, couldn't it? I think it's fair to say that if Sean McVay came to Buffalo, it would be the best quarterback he's ever had in Josh Allen. I might start pushing that on the internet very heavily, see if I can will that into existence. However unlikely is probably a 0.5% chance, but not zero. I know that. I'm gonna move into it's a little change of pace here. So I did just turn 28. And on my 28th birthday, during the day, it's a massive snowstorm. I sat inside. I've told you this. I watched TV all day. What I didn't tell you is what I watched. Now, over the past week leading up to my birthday, I have been watching for the first time since I can actually take it in since being a child. I have rewatched the Harry Potter series, all 8 movies. And frankly, then the 3 Fantastic Beasts movies that came after that. Talking about the Harry Potter movies specifically first, this may be the first time that at least that I can remember, and I like Lord of the Rings, I like The Hobbit, I like Star Wars, Star Trek. This may be the first time where I have watched a movie series and thought, "I might go read a book," in a good way. Like, I have seriously thought about, like, maybe I should reread the books from my childhood to get the more in-depth story that I missed out on, which for a guy who spends several hours a week talking about and thinking about football and pretty much like working out and playing video games and thinking about sports and watching sports, for me to be like enjoy something so much that I'm considering reading a book. I'm I did the quick math on it. I'm 28 years old. 10 years ago, I was 18 years old at the end of the month of January in 2016. I was about to graduate from high school. I don't think I read a book that portion of high school after Christmas break. A cover to cover book, it's it's gotta be over a decade since I've read a book. So for me to be like, I might crack one of these things open, those are some good fucking movies. I was shocked, surprised. I I don't know, elated, that's the wrong word. Couldn't believe how much I like these movies. I was completely caught off guard. Like, I knew they were good because I just knew too many people as I've gotten older who were in my age group, within 2 or 3 years on either side of me that were like, "Oh, Harry Potter's good." I knew people in the army who got Harry Potter tattoos while they were in the army. Combat jobs in the army, and they were getting Harry Potter tattoos. That's how much they liked it. That's how good they were. That's how good they are. I did not realize what I was getting into. The only reason I watched it is because I didn't know what else to watch. And frankly, I've been trying to get my little sister, who's 22, to watch The Lord of the Rings because I think The Lord of the Rings is sick. I've been trying to get her to watch those, not The Hobbit. Forget about that for right now, just The Lord of the Rings. And she watched the Harry Potter movies, and I was like, well, I'm going to get into the Harry Potter movies. The problem with something like this, and I did this last year, I watched The Lord of the Rings for the first time straight through, like binged it straight through for the first time around this time last year. I don't know what it is about like this cold weather type of shit where there's snow and everything. I get into the fantasy genre heavily. And I did it with Lord of the Rings, and now I've done it with Harry Potter. I'm doing it now. I did it at the gym. I skipped watching football shows that I like to watch not Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter lore and theory videos while at the gym. 'Cause I'm Googling questions about it on like, why does Harry like this spell so much? Wait, I don't understand this part of the movie. Why did this make sense? I'm like almost upset with how I watched them based on the past 2 days of Saturday and Sunday when I was really cranking out these movies. And because I'd started it last week. Last week, you guys know, I took the day off on Monday. I think I watched one of them then. I watched the first one then. And throughout the week, I've been watching the rest of them. The problem with that is like I'll watch it while I'm at work. So during my first break, I'll watch 20 minutes of the movie. And then 2 hours will go by, and then I'll watch a half an hour of the movie. And then 6 hours will go by, and then I'll watch the rest of the movie. So all the ones in the middle, like 3, 4, 5, even a little bit of 6, I didn't get the full effect of, and I, like, almost regret it that I didn't wait to watch it all in one sitting. Like, I might sit down like, rewatch them this coming week or so just to be like, "Let me go through that again." Like, I'm upset that it's over. I'm 28. Was not a fan of this stuff 10 years ago. Didn't care about Harry Potter. Thought it was weird people were getting tattoos for it. Now I've seen it and I'm like, "All right, maybe I was wrong. I'm an idiot." Now I get it. Now it makes sense. And I had to get my fill, so I just went ahead, I watched the 3 Fantastic Beasts movies because I was like, "Well, shit, if we're gonna keep this party rocking, let's fucking get into it." And I was like, "These are not as good." Like, there's something about the charm that's gone, and I think that's because these are, like, they're more, big world, it's less about the school and less introductory into the world of the magical world of witchcraft and wizardry. It may also be because, like, the Harry Potter movies started coming out in, like, 2001, so I was, like, what, 3? And kind of grew up with them. They weren't a big part of what I would watch, but I knew about them. I had read the books when I was a kid in, like, 4th grade or whatever it was. I think I had finished all the books, but was just never super into the movies for whatever reason. I'm not even convinced I was into the books. I think I was just reading them because they were popular at the time. I wouldn't rule that out. But, now like, now they're talking about next year in 2027, we're supposed to get an HBO series on Harry Potter that's supposed to span the 10-year like thing where each season of the show is one of the books. So like season 1 is going to be what is it? The Sorcerer's Stone. Like that's all well and good, but this little kid I'm new, I'll say I'm a new guy to the Harry Potter fandom. This is not my Potter. I'll tell you that. This little kid that they got coming in here, not my Potter. They've got this new guy coming in to play Snape, not my Snape, not my Snape. I'll die on that hill right now. Probably gonna watch this show, and it's probably gonna be good, but still, you know what I mean? Like, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, or whatever his name is, I always forget Ron's name. Dude, the OG Hagrid, like, all these guys, even the 2 Dumbledores, because the first one died, so they had to recast him. The 2 Dumbledores, are you serious? Can't replace these guys. I can't believe how much I saw that news and I was like, "That's bullshit." Probably because I'm just watching it now. It's been 15 years since this last movie came out. I looked it up. The Harry Potter, 8th movie for Harry Potter came out in 2011. And then they were like, "Yeah, let's bring it back, do the Fantastic Beasts in 2016." It was good, but it just wasn't the same, didn't hit the same. But even then, like, the 3rd one of those ended, and I was like, "Are you serious? We're not gonna watch Dumbledore get into a big fat duel? We're not gonna see Jude Law as young Dumbledore throwing spells? I wanna know the story behind why he goes from dressing like a normal person to wearing weird gowns all the time. I wanna know why that fashion choice was made for him. I would love to see the motivation in that. I want to see a brown with a little bit of gray, Jude Law with a little bit of gray, short beard. I want him to see a be wearing a cap and gown, just ivory with a gold inlay, cap and gown, being like, "This is how I dress now." And I want someone to be like, "That's a fancy way of doing things." He goes, "Yeah, it is, but this is me and this is who I am." I also found out that this is not a spoiler. This information came out in 2007, so if it's a spoiler for you, I'm sorry. Uh, I almost just called him Gandalf, not Gandalf. Dumbledore is gay, which is fine, but they were like, "That's why he dresses so flamboyantly." But then you watch Fantastic Beasts, and he's dressed just a fucking suit and tie. He's dressed like a normal dude, so I wanna see why he makes the change. I wanna see him get into a spell match with Mads Mikkelsen, who was way better than Johnny Depp, slinging spells at each other, and then he wins. I wanna watch that. The series was supposed to be 5 movies long. Do I think they were gonna get to 5? No. They decided to call it a 3. It's too loose of an end. Give me one more movie, cap everything up, wrap it the way it's supposed to be. I don't care about the financial implications. I don't give a shit if you lose money on this thing. Wrap the story up. Okay? Really gonna leave me hanging? And for what? Now you've made between Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts, you've made 11 movies? Who makes 11 movies? Make one more, even 12, and doesn't that feel better, Warner Brothers, to have an even 12 movies made on a series? What are you gonna divide 11 by? A decimal? Like, fuck that. Who does that? Get 12, you can divide it by 4 or divide it by 3 or divide it by 2. Nice, even numbers. Everything works out plain. That's how you should be doing it. But what do I know? I'm new to the game, but that little kid will not be my Harry Potter. I'm starting a hashtag or something. Let's move into the things this week. I could talk about that for way too long. Let's move into the things that I'm not buying. I'm not buying Mike McCarthy to Pittsburgh. Now, he's a Pittsburgh guy, and I think it makes sense in terms of a fit. I mean, Pittsburgh Steelers, they don't hire head coaches. So it doesn't surprise me that they got one that doesn't really make a lot of sense, that they went with like, this guy's more of a hometown culture fit than anything else. But they've also probably succumbed themselves to a one and done playoff for, I mean, based on how they handle coaches the next 20 years. I am curious to see if this is the one that kind of breaks the camel's back, where they do have a quick turnaround for the first time in franchise history, where maybe Mike McCarthy only coaches there for 3 to 5 years, and then they go, "This isn't working, let's get a new guy." That would be interesting to see if this is where they are like, "Okay, now we make the change. Now we've kind of woken up." Maybe the son or daughter, I don't know the ownership personnel, like who's in charge of what, but maybe they kind of wake up a little bit and they go, this is hanging on to someone for a long time is good. Hanging on to mediocrity for a long time is not good, just because it's familiar and they believe in having structure. But then again, McCarthy's won a Super Bowl and he had like what, 3 12-win seasons in a row with Dallas. Like, he's not a bad coach. I just don't think he's a Super Bowl caliber coach. And I don't know if he's going to fix whatever's wrong with Pittsburgh, but fucking maybe. Maybe he finds a way to get a quarterback in there that works for him. I don't know. I'm just not going to buy, like, this isn't a move that's going to result in them winning more. I think this is a move that results in them winning exactly the same way Mike Tomlin was, if not worse. Like, it does not move the needle in a positive direction for me whatsoever. If I'm a Pittsburgh fan, I'm like, underwhelmed, but you gotta give him his credit where it's due. He wins games. He just doesn't win important games. He doesn't win playoff games. That's all. But he wins a lot of regular season games. You're gonna get a lot of good records. You could end up, I don't know, Mike, maybe I was gonna say maybe Mike McCarthy is the best coach in that division. He's not, because I think the Bengals still have him beat there. But yeah, hey, second best. You know, Pittsburgh's been real happy with second best for a long time. Now they're going to move the Bengals up and the Ravens down, and Pittsburgh's going to stay right in that number 2 spot, and that'll be fun. That'll be good for them. The other thing I'm not buying is, no, this might just be my feed because I keep clicking on them, but like on Facebook, I'm getting real tired of the AI movie trailers or scenes that for half a second like look good enough to pull you in, and then when you click on it and you watch it and you go, "This is dog shit, actually. This isn't good at all." Whoever did the AI for this threw it together real quick, didn't do a lot of editing. Uh, there's a group of people standing around while a guy gets beat up, and then a guy comes in and breaks it up and then yells in the opposite direction of the crowd. Stuff like that where you're like, "This is just bad." Or, like, one guy just doesn't have a hand. That stuff happens all the time. He's supposed to have a hand, doesn't have a hand. He kicks nothing. Shit like that, where you're like, "These are awful." I'm so out on the I want people to stop making them. If it's not good, if it's not gonna look like a trailer, if it can't be at least as good as what I would see from the trailer for a video game, then I don't wanna see it. You have the computer doing all the work. Type in a few more prompts, tighten it up, get it good, tighten it up, and then put it on the internet. And it'll actually perform better because more people will click on it and wanna watch it. You ever think about that? You ever think about putting a little slightly more effort into your product and maybe it'll perform better than it already is? Because I feel like they get views. I don't know if that's just because I get suckered every single time. I'll see it and I'll click on it and immediately go, "This is an AI trailer," and then I'll watch the whole thing to look for the problem. But maybe that's what they're going for. I don't know anymore. I know that I don't like them. I don't wanna see them anymore. I'm most likely still going to click on them, but I am ultimately out on it. Like, I can't help it, but that's where it's at? Anyway, guys, that's the show for today. If you enjoy the show, please like and subscribe wherever you may be listening. We appreciate all of that. Go ahead, turn on your notifications too. Hit us with a follow or whatever. Check us out on Twitter. We have a lot of takes over on Twitter, pat on the back 25, that don't always make it to the show. If you enjoy a little bit of the comedy and you just want to hear a little bit more of my voice, I also do a podcast called Rudy Tuesdays that comes out every Tuesday morning. It's a comedy podcast I do with comedians Breck Michael and Rudy Marinosi. I feel like I've said the word comedy quite a few times now, so I'm going to cut the ad off there. But go check that show out. It's a lot of fun. We have an episode that just came out yesterday with a very good friend of the show, Maiko Young. It was absolutely a good time hanging out with him, chatting with him. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you come back, share it with a friend. I've told you this for a couple weeks in a row now. Share it with your grandma. Put it on her phone and have her press play. She doesn't need to listen to it. She doesn't even know if you do it or not. Just get the listens on there so we can grow as a community. If you like the show, deceive your family. That's what I'm saying. Guys, thank you so much. Look,